Before this story begins, listen carefully. Not every story you hear is meant to entertain you. Some are warnings passed quietly from one generation to another. Tonight's story comes from Lagos, Nigeria, a city where millions move through each other every day and where not everything you meet is human. So if you're listening alone or it's already past midnight, you might want to turn on the lights. This is African Strange Scary Stories, and this is The Girl on the Bus. The Girl on the Bus. I heard this story during my first year in the university, 100 level. It wasn't told like a horror story at first. There was no dramatic buildup, no warning, no listen carefully tone. It was told like something ordinary, and that was the most frightening part. My friend was from Lagos, born and raised, the kind of person who had seen enough of the city to know that not everything that walks among us is human, and not every story is meant to be laughed off. He said this story had been circulating long before we ever heard it, passed quietly from person to person, usually told in hushed voices, usually ending with silence. According to him, it happened many years ago, but not so long ago that it could be dismissed as folklore. It happened in Lagos, and that alone made it believable, because Lagos is a city where worlds overlap. The living rush past each other every day, too busy to notice the unseen, too distracted to realize when something ancient brushes past them in human form. The woman at the center of this story was an ordinary Lagos woman. She wasn't wicked. She wasn't cruel by nature. She was simply tired. That day had drained her completely. She had left her house before sunrise, fought traffic for hours, argued at work, worried about money, worried about family, worried about life. By evening, all she wanted was to get home, remove her shoes, and rest. The bus she boarded was one of those old yellow buses Lagos people know too well. Scratched paint, torn seats, engine coughing like it might die at any moment. It was overcrowded, bodies pressed against bodies, sweat, heat, exhaust fumes, the sound of impatience. Nobody was in the mood for nonsense. That was when she noticed the little girl. At first, it was the smell, not sharp, not immediate, just wrong. The kind of smell that makes people uncomfortable without knowing why. Then she noticed the girl's clothes. A white shirt, once white, but now stained beyond recognition. It looked like it had absorbed years of dirt, dust, and something darker. The skirt was frayed. The girl's legs were thin, dusty, almost gray. Her feet were bare. No slippers, no sandals, and yet she sat quietly, hands folded on her lap, staring straight ahead. The woman felt irritation eyed her, not concern, not compassion, judgment. She thought of her own struggles, her own sacrifices, her own efforts to look presentable despite hardship. And then she looked at the girl again. Something in her snapped. "Why are you this dirty?" she asked, loud enough for the entire bus to hear. Some passengers shifted uncomfortably. Nobody answered. "Where is your mother? What kind of woman allows her child to roam like this? Is there no shame anymore?" Her words spilled out unchecked. The girl didn't respond. She didn't blink. She didn't turn. She didn't even acknowledge that she had been spoken to. The silence unsettled the woman, but she pushed through it, muttering insults under her breath, complaining about parents these days, about irresponsibility. The bus moved on. Stops passed. Eventually, the woman reached her destination. She stood up, stepped down from the bus, and breathed in the evening air, relieved to be free from the crowd. She took 3 steps forward. Then she heard footsteps, small, light, persistent. She turned around. The little girl stood behind her. Close. Too close. "Why are you following me?" the woman demanded. The girl lifted her head. Her eyes met the woman's for the first time. "I don't have a mother," the girl said softly. "But you were very interested in my mother on the bus. So I want you to be my mother." A few people nearby laughed nervously. Someone joked that children these days were bold. The woman laughed too, though her laughter felt hollow. "Go back," she said. "I'm not your mother." She turned and walked away. The footsteps followed. She walked faster. So did the footsteps. She stopped suddenly. The footsteps stopped. Fear crept in slowly, like a hand closing around her chest. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice lower now. The girl stood still, silent. People began to gather. "What is happening?" someone asked. The woman explained everything. The bus, the insults, the strange behavior. As she spoke, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. The girl's shadow. It didn't match her movements. And then she noticed the feet. They touched the ground, but not completely, as if the earth itself refused to fully accept her. The dirt on the girl's clothes looked different now, not dirt, ashes. Cold fear flooded the woman's body. She lowered her voice instantly. Please, she whispered. I didn't know. The girl tilted her head. You asked for my mother, she said calmly. Now you will be my mother. The woman remembered something her grandmother once told her. Never draw attention when you realize you are not dealing with a human being. So she stopped shouting, stopped arguing, and began to walk home. Every step felt wrong. Every sound behind her made her heart race. When she reached her compound, she fumbled with her keys, hands trembling. She opened the door. The girl was already there, standing, waiting. How did you know my house? The woman whispered. The girl stepped forward. Up close, the woman could see things sewn into the girl's shirt, bones, feathers, markings she didn't understand. The smell was overwhelming now. The air felt heavy. You will take care of me, the girl said. You will feed me. You will be my mother. The woman screamed. Then she collapsed. When she woke up, she was in her village. Elders surrounded her. She was weak, disoriented, speaking nonsense. She kept saying the same thing. The girl is at my door. They tried prayers, nothing. They tried herbs, nothing. They tried fasting, nothing. Finally, a native doctor spoke. This is not an ordinary spirit, he said. She was invited. By who? They asked. By words, he replied. The instruction was simple, but costly. The spirit had to be appeased. Only then would she leave. They did what was required. After the rituals were completed, everyone believed it was over. The woman returned to Lagos. She moved back into her house. She went back to work. She tried to live the way she used to, but those closest to her noticed something strange. She became quiet, not peaceful, empty. She stopped talking unnecessarily. She avoided crowded places. She never took public transport again. And whenever she saw children, especially little girls, she turned her face away immediately. At night, she barely slept. She would sit up in bed, staring at the door, listening, because sometimes she heard footsteps, soft, bare, dragging slightly against the floor. She told herself it was nothing. Trauma, the doctors said. Fear leaves marks even after the body heals. Then one night she smelled it again, ash, cold, dry, unmistakable. She opened her eyes and saw small footprints on her bedroom floor. Bare footprints, gray, leading to the door. The next morning, neighbors noticed something else. Children in the area started acting strangely. One girl stopped speaking completely. Another refused to enter her house after sunset. A boy claimed a dirty girl stood at the bus stop at night calling people by name. Parents laughed it off. Until people started falling sick. Dreams became the same across different houses. A little girl in a dirty white shirt, standing silently, waiting. The woman knew. She went back to her village. The same native doctor listened quietly. Then he sighed. She was appeased, he said, but she was not released. What does that mean? The woman asked, trembling. You agreed to be her mother, he replied. Spirits don't understand apologies the way humans do. The ritual had only weakened the bond. It hadn't broken it. She needs to be sent back, he continued, to where she belongs. But how? The woman asked. The native doctor looked at her. You must find where she first followed you, he said. The bus stop. The woman returned to Lagos again, this time not to escape, but to confront what followed her. She waited at the same bus stop, night after night. On the seventh night, the air changed. The city noise faded. And from the corner of her eye, she saw movement, a small figure, bare feet, a dirty white shirt. The girl stood there, just as she had before. You came back, the girl said. The woman fell to her knees. I was wrong, she cried. I spoke without knowing. The girl tilted her head. You spoke, she said, so you must finish what you started. The ground grew cold. Wind rose without warning. The woman felt something lift from her chest, something heavy she hadn't known was there. The girl stepped back, slowly. The ashes on her clothes fell to the ground. The streetlights flickered, and then she was gone. By morning, the footprints had disappeared. The children slept peacefully again. The woman returned home. This time, the house felt empty, truly empty. She lived quietly after that. Some say she still leaves food at crossroads. Some say she whispers apologies to children she's never met. And some say, if you insult a child on a Lagos bus late at night, you might feel someone follow you. Do you believe this story is true, or just another Lagos warning? And if you were on that bus, would you have spoken? Some say this story is only a rumor. Others swear it really happened. But in Africa, we are taught something early. Words have power, and not every question deserves an answer. If this story made you uncomfortable, if it stayed with you longer than you expected, maybe that was the point. Tell me in the comments, do you believe this story is true or just another Lagos warning? And remember, not every child is a child, and not every stranger is meant to be questioned. You've been listening to African Strange Scary Stories. Until next time, sleep well if you can.